Welcome to week 5. We are at scaling and expanding our team, right? So I know it's really something that we don't normally think about. Scaling as soon as we create a business. But when you start to create a business, think about it. You should always keep in mind how you're going to scale that business. Is that business scalable? Are you set up properly in your with your company and to scale, right? One of the problems that we have, in particular, Black companies. A lot of times you see people on social media, then they talk about the Black-owned companies, and they'll be like, "I hate when Black-owned companies sell out. They sell out," right? But a lot of times it's not really selling out with the intention of just like taking a money grab and booking on. A lot of times when you get to a certain point in a business, your ability to scale that business is contingent upon your venture and venture capital, right? So a lot of times we don't have the venture capital as Black people. The majority of Black people, I mean, like, there's some that may, but I'm talking about regular folks. Regular folks like me and you and, like your neighbor and your family, like regular folks. We don't have access to the venture capital that we need to scale businesses effectively. So that leads to us selling it in order for that company to grow, right? So when we create our businesses, think in terms of how you're going to scale that business. So even once you get through your business plan, and you should be very close to your business plans now, I'm looking forward to seeing them. If you want to send me a link to your business plan, put it on a Google Doc and send me a link in my email. Would love to see it and love to give you some feedback. Okay, so once you get to a certain place, it's a little bit harder to scale. So we should always be thinking of a company, what could we do to scale? And also swinging back to that business plan is we should create a little business plan about how we scale, or put a little paragraph in it how you would want to scale. Now, you could get ChatGPT to help you with that. We went over how AI tools can help you. AI tools can definitely help you in terms of how you would scale a business, right? And that's on a large scale. So if you want to scale it on a smaller scale, you can go with like a Fiverr or Upwork, where you can hire some kind of relatively inexpensive labor to do some tasks for you. And that will help you scale to a certain degree. But if it's like a manufacturing company and something like that, that's a bigger scale, right? So you have to put that in your business plan, start thinking about how you scale. And when you're creating this business, think of how you're always going to scale. How are you going to get bigger? How are you going to add more products? How are you going to add more services? How are you going to diversify, right? So say, for instance, if you have, let's stick with our mac and cheese company, right? Say if you have your mac and cheese company, right? So now you created this mac and cheese company in a food truck, right? So now let's think in terms of like, okay, you did your business plan for the mac and cheese for your food truck. Let's start to think about different products. Like, let's think about maybe we want to add lobster mac and cheese. That's scaling. Maybe we want to add truffle mac and cheese. Again, that's scaling. Maybe we want to, I saw a company that did cheesesteak mac and cheese coming from Philly, even though I don't eat cheesesteaks. Not really, because anyway, I'm not going to get off on a tangent. So I haven't had like a real cheesesteak in a long time, right? A beef cheesesteak in decades, right? Anywho. Maybe you want to go with a cheesesteak mac and cheese. Maybe you want to add gluten-free mac and cheese. So there's so many things that you can do and think in terms of scaling your business. And then once you add products to it, right, you add different products, you've scaled up, right, to your initial offering of just mac and cheese, right? So now you've scaled up, right? You've added more products. So now let's think in terms of like, okay, what do I want next? Do I want a brick and mortar store, right? So now you start to think of a plan for your brick and mortar store and how are you going to make that happen, right? And once you scale up your products, then you scale up potentially your profit, which means now you can start saving for your your brick and mortar store. And once you get your brick and mortar store, you can think in terms of like, okay, I want a couple different locations, right? I want a couple of different locations of for my black mac and cheese, right? Black's mac and cheese is what, the faux business that I created. So now I'm thinking in terms of, I have my one brick and mortar store. I want to think of like, okay, maybe I want a chain. I want a couple of stores in a couple different neighborhoods. And then maybe I want a couple of food trucks. So now I scale up the food trucks and I scale up the brick and mortar stores. And then once I get there, now I can think in terms of, okay, well, maybe I want a franchise, right? So all of these things are scaling your company. So when you do your business plan, think of if your business, not every business is scalable. Sometimes people don't want to scale up. But if it's something that you want to do, start thinking about that now at the business plan stage and thinking of ways that you could potentially scale your business up. How would you make that happen? How would that look? Excited to see your business plan. Let's think about scaling. Let's get it, people.